The office is yours. The title's yours. The income, the house, that marriage that looks right from every angle that matters to anyone else. You built all of it, and you built it correctly, on purpose, exactly to spec. And you murdered the only thing that knew what you actually wanted. Not gradually, not by accident, deliberately. Every time it surfaced and said, hey, this isn't it, you dug a hole and you put it in the ground. You called it ambition. You called it being responsible. You called it what a good man does. You've been burying yourself for 20 years, maybe more, and the grave is getting shallow. Now, this isn't a midlife crisis. This isn't burnout. This isn't ingratitude, and it's not depression. And it sure as hell isn't fixed by a better morning routine. This is a man who has been so thoroughly trained by his parents, his bosses, his culture, every voice that ever needed him small and manageable, that he built an entire life from the outside in. He won every metric, hit every target, and the winning is the proof that something underneath it has been trying to get his attention for 2 decades. I'm not here to reframe this. I'm not here to help you feel better about it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what got installed, why you keep running it even after you've identified it, and the one move that stops the construction project for good. If you click off this video, you're going to go back to the next goal, and it'll land exactly where you aimed it. And the screaming will get louder. It always does, because it's not going anywhere. It was there before the success, and it'll be there after. You already know that's true. Here's what nobody's going to tell you. You were born knowing things before your parents got to you, before the first boss told you how a professional behaves. You had a direct line to something that knew without thinking, without arguing, without needing a committee meeting. You knew what was right for you, what to move toward, what to stay the hell away from. You felt it as a kid. That immediate read on a person that fired before your brain could construct a reason. That pull towards something that made no logical sense but felt more certain than anything you could argue your way into. That's not gut instinct as a soft concept. That's your innate wisdom, the most reliable navigation system you have. And it has been functioning perfectly your entire life. But you stopped trusting it, not because it was wrong, because everyone who needed you to stay on the program told you it was wrong, told you it was fear or immaturity or not thinking it through properly yet. Therefore, you learned to override it every time. I know what it costs to override it. I met someone once and had everything in me say, don't, clearly, immediately, without ambiguity. And I spent 2 years building a case for why that signal was unreasonable, why it was judgmental, not how a man who got his shit together thinks. The signal wasn't wrong. I was just better trained to distrust it than to trust it. I paid for that training with years of my life I don't get back. So write down the last 3 decisions you made where you had an immediate read and then talked yourself out of it. Don't analyze them, just write them down. This list is a body count. You need to see it on paper before your brain gets to spin it into being thorough. Here's the mechanism. Not abstract, specific. From the moment you were old enough to be shaped, every person around you, parents, teachers, coaches, bosses, spouses, were installing a program, not maliciously. They were passing on the only operating system they had. And the program had one job: to keep you acceptable, to keep you safe to be around, to keep you from becoming the kind of man who makes other people uncomfortable by actually living from the inside out. But that program doesn't feel like a program. That's the problem. It feels like thinking. It feels like you. Every morning the thoughts start. What people need from you, what a man in your position is supposed to want, what responsible looks like. And it runs as your own voice. Therefore, you don't question it. You optimize it. You get further down the road than most men who got handed the same code. And now you're here, sitting in the output of a program someone else wrote, furious in a room you built to someone else's specifications. The hostile operator, the committee in your programming installed between you and every decision, doesn't argue with you loudly. It doesn't even argue. It just narrates. This is what you want. This is what mattered. This is what a man like you does. And you've been listening to it for so long, it sounds like your own inner voice. It isn't. I ran that program for years and called it having my life together. I was optimizing someone else's definition of success so efficiently that I'd stopped noticing there was another definition I was never asking about. The day I noticed it, I didn't have a crisis. I just got very, very quiet. And in the quiet, the first thing I heard was something I hadn't heard in years. Something that knew exactly what needed to happen next without needing a reason. I'd just been too busy running the program to hear it. Write this down. Whose voice says, I should want this? Apply it to 3 of the biggest things you're currently building towards. Not whether you want them, whose voice says you should. You may not be able to answer it right now. That's fine. The question is the move. It starts the separation. Here's what makes this hard. You've already identified it. You're not an idiot. You've known for a while that something's off, but knowing the program is installed doesn't stop it from running. Here's why. The program holds power through one core lie. If you follow it, you'll be liked, respected, safe. If you don't, you'll be pathetic. You'll be poor. You'll be alone. And it will be your fault. Therefore, every time your innate wisdom fires and says, this isn't it, the hostile operator runs the threat. What will they think? What will you lose? What are you going to throw away that you've built? And you back down. Every time. Not because you're weak, because you were trained specifically, deliberately, over decades. And you were trained to interpret the signal or your innate wisdom as danger. Now, the anger isn't a mystery. The anger is what happens when the signal gets loud enough that the threat doesn't fully cover it anymore. When part of you starts to understand that the thing you've been running from was never actually dangerous, it was just inconvenient for everyone else. Here's where this goes if you don't interrupt it. 5 more years of building correctly. Another promotion, another revenue milestone that lands exactly where you aimed it. Your kids grow up watching a man who had everything and seemed fine. Your partner stops asking how you're really doing because the answer's always the same. And then one day, not dramatically, just quietly, you realize you've got maybe 20 good years left and you've spent the first 40 building someone else's life to someone else's standard. That's not a tragedy. It's a waste. And the only thing worse than wasting your life is being fully conscious of it while it happens. Next time the hostile operator fires the threat, you'll lose X or they'll think Y. Write the threat down, verbatim. Then ask this, whose threat is it? Did you invent it or did someone else install it? Now, 9 times out of 10, it belongs to a parent, a boss, or a culture that needed you to stay on the program. It was never yours. You just never questioned the lease. Here's what solving that looks like. I mean, actually solving it. Not managing it, not reframing it, like the coaching industry tells you, not building better habits on top of a foundation that was never yours. You stop building. Not forever, not everything, but you stop the specific construction project of adding more external validation to a structure that was designed by someone who needed you manageable. Because no amount of additional achievement silences a signal that's asking a different question. Therefore, the move is not another goal. The move is discrimination. The ability to let survival program thought pass without acting on it, to recognize it as noise, as the residue of everyone who installed it, and to move only on the thoughts that arise from somewhere older and quieter, the ones that were true before anyone got to you. That's not passive. That's the hardest thing you'll ever do because the noise is loud and the signal is quiet. And the noise has been getting funded for 40 years. One question applied to every major decision in front of you right now. Am I moving toward this or am I running from what happens if I don't? Moving toward is the signal or your innate wisdom. Running from is the programming. You'll know immediately which one it is. The work is stopping long enough to ask. Here's what it looks like when the signal starts driving. Well, you stop waking up at 3 a.m. reviewing conversations, not because the external circumstances changed, but because you're finally responding to the thing that's actually asking. The decisions get faster, not reckless, decisive. The committee still convenes, but you stop waiting for them to finish the vote. The relationships built on the performance fall away. What replaces them are people drawn to the actual man you are, not the constructed one. The work starts to mean something, not because it's more successful, because it's yours. You already know this is true. You've known it every time the signal fired and you overrode it. Every time the program said the quiet thing was wrong and you believed the program. Every time you arrived at something you worked years to achieve and felt nothing. But that knowing is not a problem. That's not something broken in you. Therefore, hear this, the most intact thing about you is the thing that won't stop screaming. The signal, the innate wisdom, that fury. It's not malfunction. It's the only part of you that was never successfully installed. That part that kept saying, this isn't it through every version of the performance. The work isn't learning something new. It's getting quiet enough to hear what you already know and then having conviction, not courage, conviction to move from it once and then again until moving from it is the only thing that feels like actually living. That's available to you. It has been your whole life. You built the life. You just didn't build it for you. If what I've just described is the thing you've been trying to name, the identity excavation kit is the first step in actually separating signal or innate wisdom from noise or programming, not as a concept, but as a lived experience. It's a sequence that goes after the exact architecture we just walked through, the installed program, the hostile operator, the threat that keeps you on the leash. This guide is free. The link's in the description. If you want to do this work directly with me, one-on-one, 8 sessions, we go all the way through it. That link is in the description as well. Do something with this.